All right, so this one's on jurisdictional issues. Those officers showed up here. I admitted to harassment. Jurisdiction is what's in the way there. Now, in order to have these things documented that Andy Hughes should have said, should have said in court, should have written down for the police to take that report. Yeah, it's a major issue. I'm hoping that she does comply and does send everything to these officers. Now, I don't believe that what Mandy did was a crime. I do believe that it is highly immoral. See, the fact is, if she's making that effort and the police are slandering my name in court and saying that she didn't make that effort, and Miss Peaches is making that effort, and the police are slandering my name in court and their name in court saying that they never made that effort, well, either they made that effort or they lied to me. That's what's important about recording it. Now, if I were in Colorado, Mandy would have no problems railroading me at all. However, this way, there is a small possibility, very small, but there is a small possibility that the things that should have been documented in the state of Colorado will at least be documented here so that something can be done for my safety against these predators, like Ted Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger and their family, and Jennifer Farina Bollinger. I am emotionally drained right now. I do have some phone calls that I need to make, but they're going to have to wait until tomorrow because I really need to calm down. What I really need to do is sleep. Now, as far as the jurisdictional problems that Natalie had and that I had, Mandy's having that issue now. I'm sure it's frustrating for her. But at the same time, if she sends everything, and hopefully she does, it'll show that she is scared shitless of Ted Bollinger. That is specifically who she's afraid of. It'll also show how many times she let me know that she was afraid of being targeted the way that I was. That she saw many people in these Natalie Bollinger groups that were threatened, harassed over the internet for sticking up for me, kicked out of these groups for sticking up for me. That she had to be afraid of those people too. Well, I have to be afraid of those people. And because she wasn't able to get the police to do their jobs, I have to deal with that for the rest of my life. Because she wasn't able to get the police to do their jobs, I am at risk for the rest of my life. Speaking out may piss people off, but it keeps me safe. Documenting it. If anything happens to me, yeah, there's probably 1,000 people that'll be suspects, if not more. I mean, that's just how it goes when you slander somebody's name the way that mine was. But at the same time, the main suspects are going to be the Bollinger family and any of their cronies. It's going to be people like Jennifer Farina Bollinger, Adam Klein, Dalton Crawford, all of these people that I literally traveled to Virginia to take Dalton Crawford to court or have him kill me, one or the other. I'm fine with either one. It's the fact that neither one happened that pisses me off. He didn't keep his word to kill me, and I couldn't take him to court. Brett Roloff was going to help me with that, but obviously you can't depend on somebody who's strung out on meth. And don't get me wrong, absolutely love Brett. I mean, when I went to rescue Desiree in 2018 twice, I knew she was on meth. When I went to help out Rihanna last year, I knew that she was an alcoholic. I used to help these people for a living. That's what I did. And no, I didn't make any money at it. I worked for thank yous. And if I didn't get a thank you, that was fine. The problem is that the term mentally ill was used to prevent me from being able to defend myself. The term mentally ill allowed these officers to turn off their body cameras and do whatever they wanted. Now, there's actually 7 different people who I told that I would release their numbers. And I told them that I would release their. This was, 4 or 5 days ago that I texted them, hey, you come forward with what you know, or I'm going to release your name to or I'm going to release your number to the public. Have I released their numbers to the public? No. The only people whose numbers I release to the public are people who harass me and refuse to give me their name, or people who call me repeatedly and never leave their name, never leave a message, just breathe heavily into the phone. Yeah, those will go up here, no problems. Why can't people admit they're wrong? Most people who bully are actually cowards. I bully, and I agree with that, Pam. Um, I bully people back. After all of the bullying that was done to people who were trying to help me, and the fact that so many are scared shitless to come forward, there's also valid reason for them to be scared shitless of coming forward. I mean, the way that I was made a target after the news did all of their bullshit, and the police pulled all of their bullshit, and the Bollingers pulled all of their bullshit, and people have seen this. Of course, they're afraid to come forward. Now, a lot of the issue here, like, I let Candace's mom know that I'm going to release her number to the public, and Candace's as well. I don't have Candace's number anymore. It was on one of them phones that was stolen. And as far as Lori, yeah, no, I don't want people fucking harassing her over this. I would be more than happy to give Mandy Lori's number. I would be more than happy to give Mandy Miss Peach's number. These people are all pissed off at me. I'm in a different jurisdiction. So maybe if they work together to try to peg me as some sort of terrible monster, maybe we can change these laws about jurisdiction. I mean, if you can pursue a man across the entire United States for not paying child support, you should damn sure be able to take somebody across the United States and pick them up, someone like Ted Bollinger. Me having to pretend like I'm a Ted Bollinger fucking sucks. It sucks. But at the same time, being heard isn't something that is happening because of the term mentally ill. And that's something that Miss Peaches didn't understand. That's something that Mandy wasn't understanding. That's something that, well, Shannon Alvarado didn't understand. And it's something that Brett Roloff wasn't understanding. None of these people were understanding of the fact that, yes, literally, without you going in with me, I am not going to be given the same treatment as you. I've been recording this for a long time because going to the police does get me brushed off. Now, those police officers outside, they treated me like a human being, and I was glad for that. But I also can't help but feel that a lot of that is because I was recording what was going on live. Having this computer back does help because I can record it live. I don't have to record it 15 minutes at a time on my telephone, which I can't do if I'm talking on the telephone. So I have to record it on a computer that doesn't have a camera. So it only records audio, and audio won't download to the YouTube. So then I have to hold my phone up to it for whatever amount of time that it takes until the phone bleeps at me and tells me that it's out of space. And then I go at it again, download it to YouTube, and then I erase the message, and it stays in there even after you've erased it. I'll show you. But it stays archived, I believe is what it says. I don't understand how all of this stuff works. I don't know if that's the proper term or that's the proper area that it's sending it to, but like here, Google, right here, these all right here are mostly from today and yesterday, so they haven't been deleted from my phone yet. Now you notice most of them are black. That's because that's what the tape here is for, is to cover up the camera. That way it'll record more. Otherwise, it eats up too many gigabytes, and then I can't record as much. But then we look down here, we can go all the way back to January 26th, 23rd, 22nd. Here's some from, I think these are all January as well. But the thing is, all these ones that you're looking at, they've already been deleted from my phone, but they're still on there, you know. But they're not eating up space. Um, I guess I only have access to this while I'm on the internet, but I haven't really tried it elsewhere. The other thing is, like, as far as me being technologically inept, I'm still technologically inept. Um, I've been trying to do all of this computer stuff for a while, and I've been learning it slowly. I mean, a lot of this stuff, if somebody showed me how to do it, I'd be able to do it, and it's that easy. But without somebody showing me how to do it, I fumble through it. And if it's something complicated, like PayPal and Wells Fargo, when I tried to set up PayPal, I tried to transfer 200 something dollars from Wells Fargo so that I could use that money. Well, when I transferred that money from Wells Fargo to PayPal, it takes 5 days for it to get there. Now I transferred it over so that I could buy stuff with my PayPal. PayPal, instead of taking the money that I had sent to them, tried to take it out of my Wells Fargo account. So there was no money in the Wells Fargo account for them to take out because I'd already sent it to PayPal. But it takes them 5 days for them to register that I sent it to PayPal. But it doesn't take 5 days to steal it directly from my account. And then Wells Fargo wanted a whole bunch of money because I made a bunch of little purchases, like, $5, $6, $8 at most. And each one of those comes with a $30 fee. Lovely, right? Now, there's a lot of people that are pissed off because I recorded stuff and I showed it on YouTube, or showed it on Facebook. I would have loved for it to come out in court instead. I would have loved to have an advocate so that the police officers didn't do what it is that they did. I would have loved to record every single situation in every single scenario. And a lot of the ones that I saved, I mean, here's the thing. No matter how pissed off Mandy is, and her daughter is, and Shannon is, if they send everything, that's enough to show what's been going on with the courts and with the police. And even without that, there's the fact that I have recordings here on YouTube. Lots of recordings here on YouTube with our conversations that prove that I'm telling the truth. Right now, I'm basically explaining the best I can. I really do need to get some sleep. Meanwhile, I have the fact that I had to speak to the police rolling through my head this morning, but also I understand why. It's also obviously going to be frustrating for Mandy and for Alyssa. I mean, I'm in a different jurisdiction, so they're getting to understand what it is that I'm going through, getting to understand what it is that Natalie was going through. I mean, really, what we needed was for the jurisdictional stuff to go out the goddamn window and have an arbiter sit down between me and Natalie so that she could explain what was going on from her point of view, and so that I could explain, hey, people are assaulting me because she lied. It's not my fault that she's on heroin. The problem is, even when it was in jurisdiction, police were telling me that it was out of jurisdiction. I mean, when Miss Peaches went with me to try to make the state patrol office there listen to us, I mean, obviously, when I told her that it was too late, it's from experience. It's not something where I'm just guessing. But she doesn't have a lot of experience with that. And when we went in to go talk to them, we didn't actually get to go in. And if we had been able to, she'd have been able to make a statement. It would have been documented, and we would have been able to take that to court. Um, as far as the counselors go, um, because Nicole Peralta was aware of the abuse, I don't know if I don't want her to get in trouble for it. I want her to come forward about what she knew. And I would like for it to come forward in court. But at the same time, trying to get stuff going in court and trying to get these things in court, trying to those things that Miss Peaches had to say in the videos on here, and the things that Mandy said in the videos on here, and the things that Alyssa said in the videos on here, and the things that Tabby said in the videos on here. Those are all things that should have gone to the courts before I had to break the law. And I literally did have to break the law because while these people were taking their dear sweet time in writing reports and not going after the police for refusing to, I'm going through abuse this whole time. And there is a time limit for being able to take these people to court, to be able to take Ted Bollinger to court and Tim Beeson to court and Rose Kelly to court and all of these other people. I mean, when it got to the point that I was willing to break the law to try to force them into court, it's because when these people who worked together, by the way, the Bollingers and the police worked together. Meanwhile, Mandy and Shannon were just basically talking back and forth, having a conversation about it, not actually doing anything, not actually writing this stuff down. Now, I do have plenty of screenshots, and I'm going to have to obviously go through and make a bunch more screenshots. But just to get the screenshots between myself and Shannon put together is going to take a while because there's a lot of them. If Mandy does send everything in, yeah, that stuff will need to go to the FBI. It will need to go to my public pretender, or not public pretender, but to my guardian of some sort. Then I got to go through and find Darren O'Connor's stuff because Darren O'Connor and we were trying to do something about this whole situation, about the child abuse that I endured growing up and things of that nature before Natalie died. These are all things that needed to come forward in court and needed to come forward in the media when it became public. You know, I was never allowed to defend myself. And that's because of the term mentally ill and because I have no money. And there's a lot of people who said that they were going to come forward and just didn't. There's a lot of people who said they were going to show up in court and just didn't. Now that's recorded too. A lot of those people, you know, their reasons for not showing up are in those messages or are in those videos that I recorded that are right here on YouTube. And that's important to note. It's that if you watch those videos, if you watch the stuff between me and Mandy and between me and Alyssa and between me and these other people, you would understand. I've been telling the truth the whole time along. But see, here's the thing. It didn't take people 20 minutes to start complaining about my posts. It didn't take 20 minutes for them to call every post spam. And until they changed the rules about that, a lot of stuff was destroyed. I had to make my Facebook private, which I would have loved for the public to see everything that was going on. I had to do a lot of unorthodox things, and believe it or not, I broke the law a ton. I had to, and I had to because I didn't have an advocate. Now the screenshots between me and Shauna Sinclair show that, first of all, that her daughter was stolen by her ex-husband just before Christmas or around Christmas, and that post that I posted up about her daughter missing was obviously about Shauna Sinclair and her daughter. It also shows that I was trying to get an advocate at the time. I was trying to get her help with that. And she's not the only one. I mean, when I said that these things are true, I didn't just blow it out my ass. Now, there's a lot of things that I did that well, I have to be proud of them actually. Because between being a coward and standing up, I chose to stand up. The fact that I had to break the law in order to try to get someone to look at it is pathetic. Nobody should have to break the law to defend themselves. Nobody should have to endure this quantity of abuse. Now, sure, those two officers right there, they're nice. They are, aren't they? I mean, I probably could have showed them everything that was going on there, right? Well, no, they want me to send it to their email. All right. I think I can do that. However, there's some stuff between myself and the sheriff of Sidney, Nebraska, um, and I sent them some information, and it didn't go through. Like somehow magically, when I try to send evidence of child abuse to these officers, they're not seeing it, and they're saying we want you to come in person. Well, shit. If I hadn't had warrants out for my arrest in the state of Nebraska at the time, I would have gone in to do that. But there's also the fact that when you try to turn in predators, they do everything in their power to try to discredit you, like the term mentally ill. So with Amy Witcher and the conversations between me and her about what Andrew Witcher was doing, well, I'd like to be able to believe that I could show that sheriff and actually get some help, but I'm pretty sure that if I go in to try to show him that stuff in person, he's going to arrest me. And really, I would have liked to do this a different way. I would have liked to not have to go to meth heads for help. I would have liked to not have to trade babysitting for help that I didn't get. And hearing that Andrew's stepdaughter said that he sexually molested her and her mother did absolutely nothing about it is beyond me. There's also the fact that she admitted in there that she already had child neglect on her record. Well, that doesn't bode well for Amy Witcher. There's a lot of stuff that I have kept private, that I haven't posted for the whole world to see. And there's a reason for that too. Some things are just too embarrassing. Some things are just too personal, and some things are not the public's business because it has nothing to do with my case. But also, there's situations like Bobby Forrest said that he would like to re record our last conversation because he didn't know that he was being recorded and he wanted to know why I did that. I explained it. I'm like, dude, people are more honest when they don't know they're being recorded. And there's proof of that. The recording is where my dad knew he was being recorded. He lied like a motherfucker. The one recording where Peaches was sure that she was being recorded, she spoke about a bunch of situations she wasn't even there for. With the lady that Carl Rogers and I recorded from the Broomfield office for the victims' rights advocates, she wouldn't be my advocate because I wasn't family of the deceased. But also the things that she had to say when she knew she was being recorded, quite a bit different than what she told me matter of factly when it was just me and her. Wonder who just messaged me. Amanda Demet. I love Amanda, so I'm gonna say ta-ta for now. She's known me for a lot of years, and she's worthy of my time. Also, Mandy is worthy of my time if she wanted to call me. Alyssa is worthy of my time if she wanted to call me. Shannon is worthy of my time if she wanted to call me. They need to actually call. And they also need to be aware that I am going to record it. As as far as me and Amanda goes, you're right, Pam. Nobody should have to break the law. And I didn't break the law until people broke the law first. And I broke the law the way that they did. When it comes to the situations, the reasons why Mandy didn't come into court, and why Peaches didn't come into court, and why all of these different people who wanted to help weren't able to do so. They weren't understanding why that's important to document. They're not understanding why that's important. Well, obviously, because since they didn't, when I was railroaded in court over slander by the police, well, they said that nobody was willing to go in with me. No, there were plenty of people who were willing, they were just unable. And just because they're unable doesn't mean that they didn't try. At the same time, how hard did they really try? If you're not able to speak up about the abuse that you know a disabled person is going through because you have family issues, yeah, it's not the problem, whole world's business that you have those family issues. But at the same time, the police and the courts need to know that you wanted to, but were unable to because of family issues, whatever those family issues are. Pam, I don't know what a citizen advice bureau even is, but I've made hundreds of phone calls and I'm overwhelmed with just the phone calls that I've made today. I've already called, let me see. I've already called Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. I've called Region 1. There are 9 calls overall between myself and Corona Counseling. 3 of them were calls to me, and 6 of them were calls out. I mean, plus speaking with the police as well. The thing is that these people not writing that down put me in jeopardy. It put me at risk of being railroaded in court the way that I was railroaded. And it didn't register in their heads, no matter how much I tried to explain it to them. I need you to write that down. I need you to document it. The harassment that happened wasn't just against me. It was against a lot of people who were trying to help me. And if harassment is all right that way, it should be all right the other way around, shouldn't it? If I have 10 people back me into a corner and beat me with baseball bats, I should have the right to pick up a baseball bat and swing back, shouldn't I? I have harassed a lot of people since I broke the law. I have. I decided fuck the law. The law doesn't give a shit if this happens to me. If I try to turn these people in who did these wrong things to me, then I get sent to a nuthatch and injected with drugs. And because I'm saying that police took part, it's automatically assumed that I'm delirious or delusional or fucking insane. And I get drugs injected into me. Meanwhile, many officers have outright laughed in my face about what's been done. And that right there is why it's important that volume be allowed in those places. Now, they say that the reason that it's just cameras and there's no volume is for the patient of the inmate, or the patient, or the safety of the inmate, or the safety of the patient. The fact is, I was made unsafe because of the lack of volume. When I was talking, and by the way, this phone call is recorded as well, my conversation with the public pretender's offices, where the one in Arapahoe County won't send me the information that I need to my email, but other agencies can. Isn't that odd? Same state, but they can't send it to me. But they also admitted that those body cameras weren't admitted into evidence. The DA never turned those over. Those body cameras in the Boulder County or in the Boulder County hospital there, those body cameras were important. They showed the things that were being said. The fact that I was scared shitless. I was trying to help catch Natalie's killer. I was trying to get the information to the police instead of having to post it up in public. And with most of these people, I still don't want to post it up in public. I mean, if I posted up the things that I've typed to Miss Peaches in the last 6 months, you guys probably hate me. However, if you saw what was going on for the year before Natalie was killed and the year after Natalie was killed, you'd be like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with Peaches? Yes, Sean, you have every right to be pissed off at her. And that's the thing, is that I very much care about all of these people. I've never met Danica Gardner in person, Danica Gardner, but I care about her very much. I care about her safety. I care about Rochelle Shelley Campbell's safety, and we've only ever talked on the phone. The first time I talked to her on the phone was in Chesapeake, Virginia, and we were trying to get her safe from none other than Ted Bollinger, her and Natalie's younger siblings. And these are things that Danica or that Shelley should have come forward about. I mean, I told true stories, and I still do. And I admit my wrongs. I also admit when I broke the law. But I'm not going to pretend I didn't have to, because I did have to. There are too many lives at stake. This jurisdictional BS needs to be removed. You're right, Pam. My mind is not going to rest until justice is served. But that's because of the trauma that I have to endure. I mean, I can't take care of myself. I don't have the money to take care of myself. Because of the outcome of court dates I was never allowed to defend myself in, these people get to paint me further as some sort of terrible predator. And I'm not. I'm trying to force the public to take a look. If I could get enough pressure on the FBI to actually investigate this stuff, there will be a lot of people going to jail. There will be a lot of people making plea bargains. There will be a lot of bad officers who are no longer on the force and hopefully not allowed to do what it is that Officer Whalen Lolatai did and what Officer Burke did, which is they do something wrong. The charges are never pressed against them, and they are given the opportunity to go work for another police force after harming people, after assaulting people, after falsifying evidence. Officer Burke, especially after not doing his job in Broomfield, never should have had access to me again. And Officer Whalen Lolatai, after what he did in Denver, he never should have been allowed to put on a badge again. He should never be allowed to hold a firearm. Now, one of those conversations with Miss Peaches, it verifies Officer Lolatai had his gun taken away. He had way too many assaults. But Boulder kept him on. Knowing he was doing those things, Boulder Police Department kept him on. They don't have actual police officers. They have hobo hunters. These people don't work with the public's best interest at heart. What they have at heart is rich people's money. Rich people don't want to see poverty. Boulder is a rich people's town. And yes, body cams are the evidence. But how do you get that evidence when they don't turn them on? Or when the DA doesn't turn it over to the public pretender? I mean, it's hell. And the difference between me talking right now and me screaming is how fucking scared I am that this is never going to happen. And when I'm screaming at the fucking camera, I am scared shitless. Yes, I'm pissed off, but I'm pissed off because I shouldn't have to be scared like this. I shouldn't have to be scared of going to the police. I shouldn't have to record the police in order for them to speak to me and treat me in that way. But you notice in Wyoming, they didn't treat me very good now, did they? The thing is, this is a very big, complicated mess. Yes, I am safe, as in nobody is going to hurt me in this household. But no, I'm not safe, as in I can't sit down in a warm environment at a desk and work on everything that I need to. I am in a constant state of panic, no matter what, without that kind of an environment. And the last time that I had that kind of environment was Hilltop here in Chapel, Nebraska. The only issue I had with Hilltop is I don't have any positive people here in town to hang out with. At least I didn't at the time. There was no positivity for me to be had. My next door neighbor, her name was Susie, and she stabbed Bob Mick to death. She was recently sentenced to 20 to 40 years. She didn't kill Bob Mick. She stabbed him, but it was complications from surgery that resulted in that SOB being dead. But Susie wasn't a very positive person. And Bob, on the other side, likes to use the N word a lot. I'm obviously not a big fan of racism. Um, as far as my conversation with Bobby goes, um, it's he's right. His medical business isn't everybody's business. His home issues aren't everybody's business. And I made a deal with him. I did. He said that he would call me up and it would be an actual interview instead of me having to post it the way that I did. And as soon as he does that, I'm going to take the time to listen to him. I am going to post that up without his personal business in it. And I'm going to take the one about his personal business down because I never wanted to do that to begin with. These people who are afraid of being targeted, well, I am targeted. I have to endure this abuse. But also, I'm enduring this abuse because y'all didn't come forward. You were too afraid to come forward in public? That's not my fault. It wasn't my decision for all of this to happen. My decision is to fight back peacefully or shoot myself in the head. I don't have the ability to shoot myself in the head currently. Now, I'm sure with my knowledge, I could probably find enough stuff here in the kitchen to manufacture an explosive and splatter my brains all over the whole room. But that won't help others. That won't help these hundreds of other people that have been in contact with me, letting me know their stories and what they've been through. Now, some of them, yeah, sure, they're tinfoil hat wearing wingnuts. You know, they think aliens are after you or the Illuminati did it or some crazy shit like that. No, these are all human beings with very human, very real human emotions, including fear. Officer Hahn has to be afraid of losing his job and losing his income because he didn't do his job but still took the income. Pamela Cardi as well. But all of the issues that I'm having to deal with jurisdiction, with all of these people getting away and getting to move to different jurisdictions so that they can't be pursued by the law for the things that they did to me. They can't be questioned about the things that they did to me. Well, that is a major issue. That has been a major issue since day one. And that has been something that the police who are doing wrong things preyed on. They preyed on the fact that they could take me to a different jurisdiction and drop me off and have that jurisdiction do fucked up shit. And it's okay because it's a different jurisdiction. And I can't make a police report about Officer Hahn and about Officer Selhorst and about Officer Anderson and about Scott DaCosta if I am locked up in Scotts Bluff. They tell me, well, that's out of my jurisdiction. You need to call this place. You need to call that place. You need to call the state attorney general's office. That's the thing about having an advocate. The state attorney general's office isn't going to do shit because of the term mentally ill. Without an advocate, I can't do anything. And I tried explaining this to Mandy and Peaches and all the rest of them. And it's just as true today as it was in the very beginning. And you're right, Pam, it is wrong. But at the same time, I would much rather have, I would let these officers go. Honestly, I would let them go if they were willing to have their body cameras on at all points in time and admitted that they did wrong. Now, if they said that they did wrong because they didn't understand autism, that's fine by me. That is. Then we could go forward and we could pursue Ted Bollinger for the things that he did and the rest of the Bollinger family for the things that they did. But the thing is, all of these jurisdictions need to do that. And we need the medical community, not just Lori, because Lori Dale admitted that there's a screwed up system with the medical. And she's not the only one. There's a woman named Pamela who also worked with the system, and she said the same thing. And many of these people have said those same things. I shouldn't have had to record them. We need to make the change, and that change is not going to happen on its own. If you have to break the law to keep yourself safe, then I say do it. Break the law. If breaking the law, if enough people break the law in the way that they're breaking the law, if enough people do that back to them, it'll start registering in their heads that yes, we need to change some laws. Lori admits to that. Candace admitted to that. Peaches admitted to that. Natalie's own family admitted to that, and I admit to that. There are police officers who admitted to that. Yes, it needs to change. And a lot of people are mad at me because I recorded them saying those things, because I didn't tell them that I was recording them. There's a reason I don't. Because I want you to be honest. And if you're bullshitting me, I'm going to have it recorded so that I can prove that you were bullshitting me. If Miss Peaches never intended on going into court with me, with the things that she said in those videos, obviously she strung me along. But I don't believe that she strung me along. I believe that the problems and the issues that she had are legitimate. The fact is, there were so many people who told me, hey, the police won't let me. That yes, that needs to be taken to the FBI. Because of the term mentally ill, they won't take anything from me. I am writing a book about it. But the problem is, I need a safe environment. When I say this isn't a safe environment, I don't mean that anyone's going to actually hurt me in this household. Um, but with his extracurricular activities, which are video games, I'm fine with that. Sometimes it's late at night, sometimes it's whenever. It's difficult for me to do anything with that extraneous noise. There's also the fact that he watches a lot of shows about killing, and that really shuts me down. I mean, that a few of the nights that I've been up all night really freaking out, it's because there's a show that he watches called Dexter, and that freaks me out. But before that, he watched the whole series of um, Game of Thrones, and there's a fucking shit ton of killing in that, and it's just it grosses me out. It freaks me out, and when I'm trying to play a video game to get my mind off of what happened to Natalie, and it's a show about murder and a show with people killing each other, and everybody's getting drunk and everybody's doing drugs, like, yeah, it freaks me out. So it makes my video games not enjoyable. And when I'm writing my book, I have to relive these things in order to write it down. Um, there's Pam. A lot of people wanted to donate. There was actually a GoFundMe when Natalie first disappeared, but because of the situation with Candace Bondurant, it didn't turn out so good. Um, I had housing before Natalie was killed. Um, sorry, I'm reading the comments here. I had housing before Natalie was killed. I had Hilltop here in Chapel, Nebraska, and I had disability money coming in. After the assault by Waylon Lolatai, literally every penny that I've gotten from disability ended up going to traveling to and from court. Every penny. Um, Everything that I have had beyond court was donations that people sent to me. But instead of being in one lump sum, which it would have been had those uh, GoFundMe's not been shut down or shut out or whatever you call it, um, I could have actually defended myself back then. I possibly even could have gotten back into housing, but I needed help with that. And instead of understanding that I needed help, people ended up screaming at me because they thought that I should be able to magically do it. There was a lady the other day, yesterday or the day before, who went through some stuff to get. It's a video game app actually that's supposed to make you money, and uh, it says that I have $1 on it so far. It's not my kind of video game. It's like Candy Crush or whatever. But the thing is that jurisdiction is what's standing in the way of all of this evidence. The only people who have the power to do something about all of this is the FBI. And in order to get the FBI to listen, I need an advocate. The term mentally ill means that I literally will not be heard. The only thing that I can do is scream out about it. The only thing that I can do to bring light to the situation is break the law. And so I do. I am not going to get a hold of Mandy Hughes or Alyssa. Matter of fact, I haven't been in contact with Mandy Hughes since my phone was stolen up there in Washington State last year. Now, Alyssa Rainwater, yeah. I've probably typed for her to kill me 1,000 times. Same thing with Miss Peaches. Same thing with Shannon Alvarado. Come forward or kill me. Food isn't help. That's a band-aid. A band-aid works on a scratch or a scrape, but this is an open, gaping, bleeding wound in our country. And it doesn't just happen to me. It happens to the most victimized people in America, foster children and former foster children, of which I am a part. We are the number one victimized people in America. We're more victimized than minorities, more victimized than immigrants, more victimized than women, more victimized than anybody, any single social group that you're going to pick. But there's also literally millions of people in the system right now at this very moment in the United States. Millions of children in the system. There's many more who are homeless. And when these children become 18, they're not going to have the skills to survive, just like I didn't, just like I still don't. They're going to be dropped off with nothing and expected to have what it is that most of you got from your parents, but you don't want to admit it. You want to say, I worked for it. Hey, man, I had a summer job. I earned my first car when I was 16. Hey, when I was 16, I was making money to feed myself and my little brother and my little sister. I didn't get to spend money on a vehicle. It just wasn't a happening thing. Yes, ma'am, a place I can call home. That was Boulder, Colorado for me. Boulder, Colorado was my home. And I do need a good support worker. The problem is that my support workers, before Natalie died, just kept on talking to me. I mean, I'm telling them about abuse that I'm going through, and they're, well, how did that make you feel? How did that make you feel? Well, by law, you actually have to turn that in. It's abuse that's ongoing. You have to turn that in if you're a therapist or a caseworker. Nicole Peralta did not. Tamara was helping me to get that set up so that I could. That was the whole reason for finally going and getting a diagnosis of autism. And the whole reason for me going to see those therapists to begin with, because I'd gone to the source, I'd gone to the police, I'd gone to my friends. They didn't do anything, and the abuse continued. So I started seeing Nicole Peralta. And when I moved down to Colorado, I started seeing Jeff Ritter and Kara Heller. And Kara Heller was my caseworker in there. And then my caseworker here was Jen Beebe. But Jen Beebe wasn't aware of what was going on. And the police here outright lied to her, said that I tried to suicide by cop and reached for one of their guns. Well, if that's true, it should be on their body cameras, shouldn't it? But I need to get Jen Beebe to write that down. And she said that she would when I spoke to her in the Scottsbluff jail in December. Um, she did call me back once last week. She won't be able to call me back until at least Wednesday, though. So we'll see what happens. Um, as far as my money goes, because I was incarcerated for so long, they took my disability money away. I got disability from the state of Nebraska. Um, and as far as being incarcerated as long as I was, they won't give me my money back because I have warrants out. And those warrants are because I was illegally prevented from going to court, and then I was tortured in the jails while awaiting the opportunity to go to court. I literally had to flee state for my own protection from police in the state of Colorado. Here, I am absolutely certain that if I had not been recording the last interactions between myself and police, that it would have gone differently. Now, that's not saying that those two officers who showed up here today are bad people, because I don't know them. I know the way that they've spoken to me. I know that when Deputy Hahn was here, that Deputy Holloway took over the conversation part, and I am glad that he did. Deputy Hahn should never, ever be allowed anywhere near me ever again. Neither should Cody Selhorst. Neither should Jordan Anderson, and neither should Scott DaCosta. I don't have a bank account. That's part of the problem, Pam. I don't have a bank account. I did have one, and my dad actually took me in to help me get that set up. The problem is that it didn't get maintained. And although he had said that it was maintained, my dad told me that he had put money in it to cover my insurance. He hadn't. And because my account was inactive for 3 months, because that money didn't go in there, I don't have a bank account. That actually screwed me pretty severely in Cheyenne, Wyoming. The problem is when you're homeless, you're pursued by police. Whether you're living in your vehicle or you are living under a bush, the police are after you because you're homeless. And this isn't just in Nebraska or just in Colorado. This is nationwide. There are also places where, like Los Angeles, you could get lost in the homeless population there. I mean, there aren't enough police to go through that. There's no way. If you were a child molester, that's probably the perfect place to go because you could get lost in just the homeless community. But then again, most child molesters are the father of the victim. As far as setting up a bank account, the person who helped me set up my Ace Flare account was Brenda Dickinson. Without her help and her sister-in-law's help, um, I wouldn't have had a bank account then. If I hadn't had help setting up that Wells Fargo account, that wouldn't have happened. With the Key Bank up there in Washington State, if I hadn't had my dad's help, that wouldn't have happened. It's not that I don't try, it's that I don't have the ability. The thing is, I needed to be left alone. There are a lot of laws that I broke, but they're laws that I broke because of abuse that I had to endure over slander. And that slander needs to be addressed. I literally broke the law to try to force a court date with Alicia Bollinger. to try to force the police to take a look at that evidence. Well, not the police. I was trying to get the FBI and the Secret Service involved, and they did get involved, but they didn't take a look at any of the evidence. Neither did the police. And then they tried to play it off like that was a separate issue. But then when it came to my court date, they spoke about both issues in my court date. Well, how is it that you can separate it for them, but you can't separate it for me? I never should have had to break the law, and nobody should.